Well, hello there. This is Louis, aka Louis the Frenchie Monette, and you're listening to, well, the Frenchie Watches. On today's episode, we are watching The Expendables. Look, he's a second time around in our podcast network. Is Mr. Reverend Frydaddy. How are you today?
Man, I'm doing good. I'm doing good. But it's like I said a minute ago, it's hotter than Devil's Nutsack on a Friday night. But I'm down here in South Georgia. But otherwise, I'm doing good though. I'm doing real good. Thanks for having me on.
Oh man, thanks for being on. Before we start, for those who don't know you, and how dare you not know him, what do you do in life? What are your podcasts?
Basically, I've been doing YouTube for about 2 years now, and recently, over the past year or so, a co-host and my friend of mine, we started up a podcast, and but I've been doing my own side projects forever now, and it's right now I'm doing the Paranoia Playhouse, and
Hmm.
I'm a conspiracy theorist, but I believe in proper propaganda, not prop up. I believe in giving people the truth inside dope. Instead of trying to scare people or sell the fear, just give them something to think about. Other than who did 9/11, are aliens real? Who killed who? And that doesn't matter to me. It's looking at real things
Hmm.
like we talk about movies, that whole John Carpenter thing. I mean, that to me, it's fascinating.
Hmm. Yeah, no, John Carpenter, the thing is such a deep, intertwined thing that if you just look at it as a horror movie, yeah, it's a good horror movie. But you go
No, I'm
deep
talking
into
about
it.
the whole. I was talking about the whole thing with Bob Crane and John Carpenter. I mean, that whole, you
Oh,
know,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
and Roman Polanski. I mean, that whole. I mean, it's amazing that people don't talk about those things.
Well, for those who don't know, before we start, I know what you're talking about, but because of you, so let the people know what you found out.
Okay. I've been a fan of all three of them separately for many years. Roman Polanski did Rosemary's Baby, basically. John Carpenter, of course, the thing Halloween. And then you got Bob Crane, which was the star of Hogan's Heroes. You know, um, they did a movie and it was called Autofocus, and it's turned out that Bob Crane and John Carpenter and Polanski used to hang out together all the time, and they were doing weird sex deviant stuff, just guy stuff, kind of thing, whatever, just partying all the time. But Bob Crane actually had a mysterious death, and John Carpenter and Polanski was actually, looking as the prime suspects of the murder. Now they both got cleared. Um, John Carpenter went on to become a famous director, composer, the whole 9 yards. Polanski had to leave America because of his sex charges. But now my conspiracy theory is, was Polanski did he leave because of the sex charges, or was it because he's facing murder charges of or Bob Crane? And
Mm.
did he have his wife killed, Sharon Tate by the Manson family with connection to everything with that? And I'm like, let's see, I dive into things like that.
Mm. Yeah,
And
that's the
I'm just wondering if Polanski is actually, the mastermind about everything, and just had everybody that people that knew what was going on had them taken out. Then he left.
mm. So you had a snippet of what Mr. Reverend Friday does on his podcast. If you like what you heard right now, go take a look. It's really interesting stuff, man. All right. So let's go dive into the show. Dive into the movie right now. First off, I want to start with your overall movie thoughts. I think you've seen this movie a couple of times. Now, this time
Yeah, yeah,
around, knowing you're going to talk about it in more of a psychological form, what did you
right.
get out of it?
From the very first time that I did see, I mean, I've saw it multiple times, but the very first time I thought it was a nerd's wet dream, for action heroes to be all on the same screen. And that's what the thing that drew me in. I was like, all these iconic heroes are, action stars, just like boom, right there. I'm like, oh, this is awesome. And I
Mm,
know the theory's always been if you put too many big name stars in a movie, it ruins the thing. I'm like, no, it didn't do it for this one. I mean, but in general, it was just a fun movie with a lot of action stars, and it was like playing GI Joes for real.
yeah, for me, it almost felt like this was Rambo, but in an alternate universe where he actually works with people. It's this is like Earth B with Rambo and his friends. It was
Right, right.
the first time I saw it. It was fine. I liked it, but not as much because I'm not deep into. except for a couple of exceptions like Predator and Commando. There's not many of those type of movies that really hit me. When
Really?
because I was born in 87, right? So for me, certain action movies, I only watched later because I grew up in a very religious background and violence was a no-no.
Oh no! See, that was a given in my household.
Oh man, I know so much of like cartoons, and I have no shame to say, like when I was younger, I absolutely loved Princess Diaries and more of like the girl related things. Guys, that's what my mom used to let me watch.
Right. No, I understand that.
That and sci-fi. I was big into Stargate. I was big into Star Trek, Star Wars, because my mom didn't see any like problems to it, but the macho throw like rip out your throat type of movies,
right.
That was Satan.
No, I understand that, but that was always the fun stuff, because like I had the show before about they were talking about wrestlers, and that's the era I grew up in was the 80s wrestlers, so action heroes was the next step, next level, and that was always thing. Chuck Norris, Stallone, Schwarzenegger, Willis. I mean, they were just out there. I mean, that was just fun to watch. Blow up, bang them up, movies.
I get it. And there's a reason why a lot of wrestlers transition into action movies, throughout the decades. You often see the wrestlers like Hulk Hogan transitioning, The Rock, and even in this movie, there's a bunch of wrestlers.
Bunch of them.
So it's a stepping stone to action movies, because like it or not, it's the modern day action heroes are wrestlers. You don't get that those specimens of Chuck Norris and everything. Even then, he comes from a martial arts background, right? So they're hard to find. You don't produce that many anymore in their day and age.
No, it goes both ways. You got wrestlers that turn to movies and actors that turn to wrestlers. And same thing with like, sports, basketball, football, baseball, UFC. And that's all wrestling really is. It's sports entertainment. It actually is a TV show. It is, I call it my man soap opera, it is a TV show. They're entertainers, they're actors. That's what they do. And I appreciate them for what they do. But it's like, people don't look at them as more than what they are. They're like, oh, it's fake wrestling. No, but they're real people. It's a story, it's a plot, it's a gathering, it's a family thing.
Yeah, and it's also personalities, over the top modern superheroes. They don't have the powers, but if you're able to jump out of like a 9-foot gap and hit someone on a table and not kill yourself, you're a modern day hero.
Where's the fraud in that? I mean that right there, you can injure yourself, you can break something, you can almost die from those things. Yeah, everything is choreographed and scripted because they don't want people to get hurt. I understand that concept.
Yeah. Now that being said, going back to the movie, I really loved this time around because I actually paid attention to the deeper moments. It's surprising for me to say. I thought when we were gonna get this movie, I'm like, what are we gonna talk about? Like the deeper meaning. Hey,
it's there. It's
there. The first one I want to touch upon is this basically is a movie of redemption, but also finding your past, right?
Right. Well, yeah. There you go.
Like from a meta standpoint, the production of the movie is that as well, right? Is those not washing, but action stars to the past, trying to relive that good old 80s, early 90s glory of
and they give tribute. They give tribute to what they were influenced by, what they were put them into the entertainment field, and they paid it forward. It gave it back to the fans.
Exactly. And it also transpired into the movie itself, the plot, also the character work, especially with a couple of them like Jet Li and I again forgot his name.
Mickey Rourke. Mickey
Rourke, which is probably my favorite scene in the whole movie.
Oh, it is. But when we talk about Jet Li's statement about having worked twice as hard, and like I said, that probably goes back to his days in the Chinese opera with Sammo Hung and Jackie Chan, because Jackie Chan was quick and fast, and he was kind of normal size. Sammo Hung was husky and powerful. Jet Li was a short guy. So he had to perform twice as hard as everybody to compete with his friends at the same time, put on a good show.
Mm. Yeah, it must be interesting because he's so different from the other ones too. You know, the other one's more like a muscle bound
Yeah,
wrestling, and
and
he's
I would
a
never take credit away from Jet Li because he's a phenomenal martial artist
oh yeah.
and and philosopher because he does follow the same teachings as Bruce Lee and other Zen philosophers. And if you look at Fearless is one of his best movies because it talks so much about philosophy and the idea of martial arts.
Yeah, because he's also his character itself is the most grounded one of all the other ones. It shows that he put himself in his character. He's not an angry, kill 'em all type of person, but he has to do it. He
Right,
has to
right.
do it right. But he's very centered. He won't start doing shit in a bar just because he's angry. He found himself, and it kind of reflects on who Jet Li is in my mind as well.
Right, right. And I would compare Jet Li to a Shaolin monk if you would.
Yes, yes.
Modern day Shaolin monk. I mean, I would because I see a lot of his mentality going towards that direction.
Oh yeah, and also another thing that I found interesting was the Arnold Schwarzenegger part. Again, he didn't do much in the movie. He was more
No, it's because it's all the pop-ins.
But is it me? Is it me like because I don't know much of the history? It almost felt like off screen and on screen, it's kind of frenemies working together.
You don't. So you don't know about those things?
No. Is there beef between?
Oh no, sir. No, it's quite the contrary. Schwarzenegger and Stallone have been playing these gags forever in their movies.
Okay.
If you go back and watch Twins, when he's walking down the sidewalk and he sees a picture of Stallone and Rambo, he touches his arm and goes, that's funny, And in Demolition Man, they make fun of it by calling him on President Schwarzenegger. Yeah, because Willis, Stallone and Schwarzenegger, started the Hard Rock Hotel cafes and everything. So they've been friends off screen forever. So they in their movies they will play these little stabs and jabs, and it's part of fun though. Yeah, that's what that is.
Yeah, well, okay, but it's kind of what I was going for. Frenemies is not necessarily enemies. It's like that person.
Yeah.
That get on your fucking nerves, but at the same time, he's a good guy. He does what he does, and it works. But man, sometimes you just want to hit him with a chair,
Right? Yeah, same thing. It's like, but I know they all adore each other. I know they all, they're just great friends. So for them to play these little quips in their movies, I mean, it's just awesome to see these things. But yeah, it's hilarious,
All right, it's but again. I would have enjoyed it more if Stallone was if Schwarzenegger was actually good in it. He was flat.
Well, yeah, no, and it goes back to you talk about Commando, Terminator, Conan. I mean, Schwarzenegger really never had a time to show acting skills until he did Kindergarten Cop. In my opinion, anyway. That's when he actually showed a side of a different side of acting, if you will.
No, that's true. I'm trying to think about a good Schwarzenegger movie that was more about his acting chops than his muscles. I can't really think of one.
I would say Kindergarten Cop and Twins. That'd be one of my two ones to go with.
Yeah, because Kindergarten Cop I don't really like, but Twins I would agree. He delves. Yeah, okay. No, I agree. You're right on that one.
But everything else has been based on, like the whole stereotype of being pigeonholed in a role. Schwarzenegger was Hercules, Conan, muscle bound this, shoot 'em up this. I mean, that's what Terminator, that's all they thought about Schwarzenegger was that's all he can do. No, he's actually more than that,
I'm sure he really is. And I've been waiting for a long time for him to do like almost a biopic of his muscle days when he was that documentary that they found. I forgot the name of Pumping Iron. I'm almost waiting for that eventually for him to either produce or star a movie about bodybuilding, which he never really did to my knowledge.
I think they're working on something with Triple H and the WWE because they're really good friends also. Triple H and Stephanie and Schwarzenegger, they're really good friends on the aspect of personal fitness, workout, getting healthy, those kind of daily life things. So I know they're doing something behind the scenes, but again, when celebrities don't promote their things all the time, I think it's awesome because they're actually giving back without trying to get recognition.
Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. Okay, let's go forward into other things psychologically, or things I realized. I was very confused about the villain. I under
Really? Okay. Which one was the villain though? Was it Eric Roberts or was it
well,
the general? So
the,
we talk about redemption because it was right there at the end.
it's both of them because there's like two layers of villain, right?
Right, right.
Well, three layers if you think about it. There's again that I forgot, you just named his name, but I forgot his name. The white guy,
Eric Roberts.
Eric Roberts. He's like the rich megalomaniac. He even said
Right,
himself, money permits us to be the biggest assholes
right,
we're
right.
supposed to be. And then you got the converted, which is the general. He probably started good, but money corrupted him. But
Money corrupted him. Right,
he still has standards, but very twisted standards, right? And then the
right.
third villain is basically relating to Roberts is money, is power.
The system, the government itself, because he actually was considered one of the CIA agents, and so yeah, it's the greed, the human condition of greed would be the ultimate villain itself.
So there's like multiple villains. There's a villain for the villain, and the villain for the villain is also one of the main villains. So I get what they were going for, but it was so rushed. Like when Roberts go in the room and all the um, the soldiers had paint, and you can see the
Right.
general had enough of it.
He
Uh,
gave him his money back, yeah, because he knew that he was doing wrong. He understood that in his heart and his soul, his daughter was right. I'm just an asshole for money. I need to get back to where I was. He has a good mentality of what a human should be. It's just that money, made him think differently.
but at the same time, he gave back his money, but he crossed a path he can't come back from. He started
Right. See,
saying that.
there's the accountability you got to look out for.
Exactly. So he kind of like, okay, you're going after my daughter. This is it. We don't touch women, right?
Right.
But at the same time, well, like he did that decision, but he probably did so much horrendous things that he is
Yeah. Before that.
a twisted individual that you can't go back for that. It took his daughter, but it's a little too late. And
Right.
it reflects us sometimes. What we see in today's life, people with good intentions and get corrupt by money, and you can see that they regret it, and there's things they're trying to do to go back, but the damage is done. I'm thinking like Facebook, and like
Oh yeah.
Facebook. Good intention. He saw a whole potential. Potential of money and infrastructure and creating something new, but turned into its own beast. That when you see him in his prosecutions, he looks destroyed.
Yeah.
So he can't come back from that. So there's a lot of like little hints I got of that nuance between those two villains.
And it's the same thing you talk about, and like the whole speech that Mickey Rourke gave about the lady on the bridge. They have killed and slaughtered and just done a lot of bad things in their lifetime. I mean, just countless things. And he saw this lady, and he knew she was going to jump, and he turned around and walked away. And he could have saved her, but he didn't, and it hurt him to the point where you can almost feel that on-screen presence, that emotion. You can feel the idea of, I had a chance to actually do something good at one point, and I chose not to. But so then he's gone from there, and you look at Barney. He has done things bad, but he wants to do the good things because he's a hired gun. He's a mercenary. But at the same time, he realizes that I need to do this because it's the right thing to do, not because of the money.
Yeah, because he sees right in front of him the effects, right? Because the Mickey Rourke character is broken.
Broken.
Yeah, he's
And you know how you tell he was broken, because he laughed and he joked and he carried on like nothing, like it was a good time in the world. That's how I recognize that, because I can compare myself to that, because that's how my broken is. I crack jokes, I tell stories, I have fun. But the whole while I'm on the side, I'm just hurt. But that's that broken part that you don't want to show people the broken, because if you show them the negative, then they won't see the positive.
Yeah, for sure. There's a reason why we wear masks. It's for
Right.
other
There
people, but
you
also
go.
also for our protection, because to let out that kind of emotion, and it could have consequences, people.
It does.
When you start bottling emotions, you have to continue until it destroys you, and
Right. Oh man, you're right on the money.
because
Now it's
if you bottle at first and then let it go right away, you let go of that emotion. But if it's been bottled for a couple of years, and you start showing that negativity, it all has to let out at one time. If not, there is consequences.
yeah, and I tell people that. I said I'm like an emotional sponge. I'll take things, bits and pieces here, and just bury them until they become a bomb. Then whoever's around me is going to, get the front of that bomb. They're going to be, the impact area, because once I explode, it's not that I'm latching out to people or trying to attack anybody. It's just everything just washes out like a geyser.
Yeah, and I actually can relate to the character of Dolph Lundgren's character.
Yeah, see now there it is again, that whole idea of redemption, because he was the, I guess, the ultimate, not really a bad guy, but he understood how things really needed to be. He had the idea that, okay, these are the beginning scenes. He wanted to hang the pirate. You're like, don't do that. He goes, they would have done it to us. He was trying to send a message. He was like, we are here to make things right. That's like hanging a scarecrow, showing that other people that you need to be afraid of what we are going to do. But at the same time, he wants to be on the team. He wants to be a part of that thing, because those are his friends, his family, but he still wants to be true to himself.
Yeah,
and which is that bad guy.
Yeah, and it's a difficult balance, right? Because you're doing you're doing bad guy things, right? So at one point, what is the nuance between the people you're killing and the killer that's killing the people?
Yeah, so see, and that's what I like about movies in general, because, like I said, I don't watch them for celebrity worship, but I like to watch them for connections. Storytelling itself is phenomenal, whether it's in music, movies, TVs, books, and regular word of mouth. I mean, to actually have someone to find a connection in something, and to look at themselves and go, wow, that was pretty cool, because they can actually reflect on that. And it's everybody. Jason Statham was a great look at this. I mean, he led this double life. He had a great gal, hung out with her, but he couldn't tell her what he did. Even though he wanted to, he couldn't do that, but he eventually did. But did that free him, though? Now that she knows he's a dangerous person, will that change her mind of how she feels about him? No, he's no longer a mystery. Everything's wide open. But now, he's a killer. I don't know what I can do with that. So it's to give yourself to somebody else fully and let them know who you are. Will it change how they feel about you?
Yeah, and will it change how you feel about yourself too?
Oh, there you go. Yeah, because then did I do the right thing for letting people know who I am? Did I do the wrong thing for hiding myself?
Not just that, is also when you keep it to yourself, you bottle to yourself. It's the image of yourself is restricted by your subconscious and yourself. That's it. But once you spread it out in the world, their views of yourself will affect the way you see yourself. So
that's a good point, because that's something I've stated for the past 2 years, because I started talking openly 2 years ago about my mental afflictions and everything like that, and it helps to get those things out instead of hide behind those. I get them out there. But yeah, people's opinion of what I do daily or who I am really don't affect me on how I think about myself. I mean, honestly, but I do know where you're coming from, because at the beginning, it was the shame of letting people know, what was wrong with me, because then they would judge me. They would look at me differently. But I've come so far to the point where it's like, I really don't, it's not that I don't care what they think about me, but their opinion doesn't matter. It's not going to change how I think about myself, because it's me that has to be me. But I do agree with that. Oh, wow, that's a good point.
Yeah, and if you take it to the other level too, there's two levels to that. First level is, from your experience compared to his experience, he kills people. It gets paid for it. So that's even like more of an extreme level of acceptance. And second of all, he's doing it with someone he's attached to. It's not only now his burden, it's their burden.
Right. There you go. It's sharing the burden. That's the whole thing. So when I released my burden, from myself and put it out into the world, there I don't have, like, the hidden back doors, or the dirty secrets, or the shame itself. Is So it's like, but now I have released my burden upon the world, to let them know that, hey, this is who I am. I'm broken, I'm damaged, I'm diseased, but I'm still here. I'm
Mm,
fortunate, I'm alive. So it's like, what is the world now a burden? Are they being burdened by my darkness? But then again, I don't think they are. I think it's more of a relief to everybody involved, because now I don't have to, hide behind the mask. I don't have to, shelter myself from the world, and the world don't have to go, oh, what's wrong with him? No, we know. He told us. you
mm,
know. But
yeah.
that's a damn good point.
Yeah, and as well, how can I say this? Um, it to go through that journey for him to reveal himself, it needed a catalyst. It needed an event.
Yes, it did. He saw her in danger, and yeah, it took it does take a catalyst. You're right about that.
Yeah, and then it speaks to everyday life. It might be not exactly that situation, but usually people, if this repressed, and again, the word repressed is going to call often. I think that's the main message. It's the repressed emotions of all these characters coming to
Right.
light. But for it to be that repressed and then come out in one shot, um, it's bottled up for so long, and you need a catalyst. But how does it affect you afterwards? How do you do your job killing? Now, every time you shoot someone in your head, do you have that flash of that woman? And or let's say you get a mission, right, and she's like, oh, I gotta go, and she's like, whoa, for how long? It's like, I don't know, are you doing your thing again? Like, I'll be back later. Like, there's a
But
strength you can build.
and in her mind, the whole time is she's worrying if he's going to actually return.
Yeah, and not just that, is like, is he gonna return in the same man I know? Is something gonna
Oh yeah,
happen?
I'm talking in general. I mean, if he goes on these dangerous missions, I mean, will he die?
Yeah.
Or will he come back? Broken,
Mm,
damaged. More messed up than what he is. I mean, yeah, that's going to be a worry on her mind the whole time. Even if he says, "Don't worry, honey, I got this. I'll be right back." In her mind, it's like, okay, the wife of anybody that's involved in law enforcement. Their
mm,
husband leaves the house every day, puts on his gun and his badge. You don't know if he's going to come back or not. So it's that fear of losing someone that you love, because now it's because you wanted to know what they did, you wanted to be a part of that, and now you know these things, but now it's going to haunt you until
mm.
he returns.
Yeah, for sure. And also, that's one thing I wanted them to explore more in 2 and 3, because for me, Christmas is an interesting character to go PSD with, right? He still has
Right.
a conscience, he still has a heart. And like I said, it's either am I going to lose him death wise, or is he going to come back with so much PSD that this is not my husband anymore?
Right, right,
This
right.
might be someone that one day, like, I'll get up and shoots me by accident because he has a fear. There's a lot of layers like that they could have explored with Christmas that they really didn't.
But I think you make a good point there, because I go back to Mickey Rourke and Barney having a conversation. I think when Rourke gave that speech, I think Stallone actually realized that's where I'm heading.
Mm,
That's where I'm
mm,
heading. That's
mm.
exactly where I'm going to be. Just like my friend here, I'm going to be the PSCD. I'm going to be broken to the point where I'm not going to want to do this anymore because it's the wrong thing to do. But at the same time, he knows he has the capability. He has the physical for it, but that emotional is catching up to him.
Yeah, and that could be related also in almost any profession, right? That requires you to tap into something that you're not necessarily made to tap in every day. The best example, and I'm gonna go off track a bit. I'm sorry about that.
Oh
Uh,
no, go ahead.
but one of the best examples, one movie that really hit me, is a very little known movie with a very known action star. It's JCVD. Ever heard of it?
Yes, I did. Jean Claude Van Damme.
Yeah. That movie blew my mind because it wasn't just an action movie, right? He was playing his regular self, stuck in is the actor self stuck in a robbery situation, and he freezes, right? And then he goes into a monologue about his career, how he's been used, how he had dreams, and he's always, asked to give 100%. But I kind of gave him PSD in a sense that he reacted differently. He started becoming another person. He started going into depression. He started hating life itself because he was stuck in the action role and always trying to be like the alpha male killer, and that's not who he is.
Right.
So it's for me that the whole monologue, if you haven't seen it, just go on YouTube, JCVD monologue. It
Yeah,
made me
yeah, I
cry.
know you're talking about. I've seen it a while ago. I know exactly what you're talking about. And it does go back to actors, being pigeonholed in certain roles. They can't do anything else. But they can, though. They can, but it's what the fans want to see.
Yeah, but that
Fans don't want to see Schwarzenegger doing Shakespeare. They want to see Schwarzenegger, blowing something up.
But that relates also to people like soldiers, mercenaries.
Right, right, right.
They say to themselves, that's the only thing I can do, right? They're pigeonholed into killing people. Well, I'm sure they can find something else, but their minds go to, this is the only thing I can do. But it brings them to a darker path more and more.
And I wondered that myself. I mean, because you hear that quite a bit in the movies or the media or the entertainment industry itself when they do ideas about soldiers to come back from war. They can't get a job anywhere else. So they do secret security, or they turn to criminal crime. They don't have anything else they can do. They don't have any other skill set they can do. Now, is that true though? Is that because we've always been told the military will give you college training, advancements in life. So is there nothing else past war?
Well, it depends how you take it, right? Like, and my girlfriend just corrected me. Producer's note is PTSD because apparently I mumble my words and I don't say it correctly. But yeah, PTSD is, you can have all the education in the world, you can have all the hope, but you can't unsee things. Right?
Yeah. There you go. There's a very good point.
You can't unsee things. So all that knowledge, all that, preparation cannot prepare you for seeing the darker sides of humans. And some people just can't, they might have a future, but they're so destroyed that they can't go back from it. And if they do, it takes so much courage and so much work, and never go back to their real self.
You hit on so many. I mean, real life topics. Because I've been learning or trying to find out, and I've heard a lot of psychologists and psychiatrists, because I have a couple of therapists that have tried to share the idea that PTSD is actually real for everybody that's involved in some kind of traumatic experience, not just war or anything like that, but childhood trauma, losing a parent, losing a child, near-death experiences, some kind of, aggravated aggression that you grew up with that's, you're suffering from now, that's you're drawing back on it. So it's like PTSD can be real for everybody. And I'm like, really? I mean, but do you use it as a crutch, to fall on, or do you use that as a building block to, to rise out of?
Yeah, but that building block is like,
the way it's hard.
The way I see it is like that soldier that lost 2 of his legs, 2 of his arms, and has to,
right. Oh yeah, man.
You lose your emotional limbs. You really do lose your emotional limbs.
Yes, sir. Yeah. You come back and you can't, physically do, because I've gone through that myself. I almost lost my leg and everything like that. So I was limited on a lot of physical activity. So I see a lot of that in the soldiers that will, lose limbs. They're not able to take care of themselves. Where does that leave you emotionally and mentally? Yeah, you can read and write, but you can't, pour your own bowl of cereal. You can't, smoke your own cereal. You can't, wipe your own butt. That's got to affect you on a different level than, just say, stubbing a toe.
Oh yeah, but although I do cry when I stub my toe.
Oh no doubt.
Hey, we're going deep into this. I love this, Frydaddy. I love talking this deep about movies. So you're definitely bringing on the conversation, sir.
Yeah, like I said, the movies, like I said, entertainment to me. I've been a fan all my life, and we talk about PTSD. Now, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, we had babysitters because my parents had to work, so I would stay with my cousins' houses, and her babysitter would be, a 17-year-old girl, as we're, 5, 6 years old, and she'd have boyfriends, and we're talking about, the early 70s. Now, the boyfriends would sometimes be a-holes. And they once they locked us in this room and just playing around, being jerks, whatever, and stuff like that. So I've got me, my brother, and my two cousins, and we're only about between the ages of 5 and 8 years old.
Yeah.
And they're banging on doors, banging on windows, making all kind of scary noises, scaring the shit out of us. And I'm literally, terrified. I'm terrified, scared, terrified. Then I hear someone knock on the window. We can help you. We can help you. And I run to the window without thinking because I'm like looking for help. I'm looking for salvation. I pull back the curtain, and there's a guy wearing a scary mask. And I'm not sure what the mask, but all I know was that scene right there is just embedded in my mind from that point forward, where I couldn't even watch horror movies. I couldn't even look at I grew up around Orlando, Florida, so I went to Disney World. The Pirates of the Caribbean ride, couldn't go on that unless I closed my eyes. Haunted Mansion, couldn't go on that unless I closed my eyes. My mom took me to see Jaws. I had to listen to Jaws, couldn't open my eyes. We go to the drive-in on Friday night to watch double horror movies. So I would have my eyes closed the entire time. But then I started thinking recently, how I got past my fears was I would not hear things or not see things, but I would hear things. I would hear horror, So my brother and my cousin were fans of horror movies back in the days. Any Texas Chainsaw Massacre, Friday the 13th, the list goes on and on. I would never watch a horror movie to save my life. But now, yeah, no. But then I was around 10. I think I was around 10 years old. And when the Friday the 13th Part 6 first came out, and they went and rented it, and I'm like, no, I'm not watching that. They're like, come on, watch it. I'm like, no, I'm not watching it. So they were watching it, and I'd walk by the room and like peek my head in the door every now and then and see what's going on. Then I sat in the doorway and I watched it with them. And I'm like, can we watch that again? Then I started going back and watching all the other horror movies. And my mom says, I've told you forever, these things are fake. They're not real. I was like, I get it now. So I think like the old like people that drug addicts, like heroin addicts, they call it chasing the dragon or chasing the horse. I think I've been chasing that fear that I experienced that day with that guy in that mask ever since then, and I cannot get it back. And I love horror movies. I love horror, but there's nothing that scares me. And I mean, there's been some things that disturbed me and going, oh, that's kind of, crazy or whatever. But I have never again found that fear that I experienced that one day. And I'm not sure if I'm still looking for it, but I know I'm not afraid of it though.
No, it's I have a we're going off track again, but I have a very unique experience when it comes to horror because I used to be very shielded for anything horror for me. My mom was very sane, right? Anything demonic or anything like the deeper, darker shit of let's like American Psycho, like no,
Yeah. So, see, now that's just good fun stuff.
Yeah. Now I definitely agree. But back in the day, anything was scaring me, right? I remember seeing The Grudge in cinema, and I was with a date, right? And I was the one putting my head into her arms.
Really? Oh wow!
And so many people looked at me funny, but I couldn't hold it. And at one time I just got immune to it.
And see, now there you go. Because when that movie first came out, like I said, I'm a huge fan of the horror genre. And the movie first came out, my buddy goes, "Have you seen The Grudge yet?" I'm like, "No." He goes, "Dude, you got to see that. That is the scariest movie in the entire world." So I'm like, I took his opinion because I know he has a very good opinion of that movie. So I went and go watch it by myself. And I'm watching it, and I got there, and I'm like, called him up. I was like, "Dude, what the hell were you talking about?" I said, "That was not even close to being scary. You want to see real horror? Go look at Life." And that's why I think about it. These people like Manson, Ted Bundy, John Wayne Gacy, that's real horror. That's what horror I think is to me. Real life, human condition horror is real. On screen, that's just going, wow, there's a documentary on how to commit serial killers, how to kill somebody, how to, sever bones, how to flay skin off, flesh off the bones, how to, drain blood. And that's all those are just taking notes. That's all it is.
Well, for me, true, like it's gonna sound weird what I'm saying, but for me, a true horror movie is things like 12 Years a Slave. The real,
yeah. There you go. Stuff like that. Real horror.
Schindler's List. For me, that's real horror because that things that happened before and shows how dark humans can be, and that's horror, like you said, the scary things is based off of reality, what can actually happen to us in real life. We know we're not going to have a demon in our ceilings and whispering us to control us to kill our wives. That's never going to happen.
Well, it happened to that guy up in upstate New York, though, because he killed his entire family. Now we got a movie about it.
Yeah, well, at the same time, a lot of horror touches into, mental disease and stuff like that.
Exactly. See, exactly. That's the whole thing right there. Is like, what do people do that's considered horror? I'm a fan of Stephen King, not because of his horror style, because if you look at Carrie, okay, you take away the whole idea of the psychic connection of the very end. Up to that point, everything was brutal. The abusive mom, the taunting kids, the idea of being an outcast, being shunned, being made, that's scary for anybody to deal with. Cujo alone, that was nothing but a dog that got rabies and was out of control, and you got two people trapped into a car. I mean, that's fear. That's what terror really is. You got a guy walking around with a hockey mask on and a machete. That's not hard. That just means you got to find a way to get out of that.
All right. We digress, people. We're sorry about that, but this is making for a good conversation. That I think next time I'm gonna talk about a horror movie with you.
Okay, okay. Back to the Expendables. I mean, same thing. If we look at the idea of you got a group of guys, but you take away the idea of them being action heroes, action stars, all the other movies. You got a government faction hiring mercenaries to do certain jobs because they don't want people to know about them. Okay, now you got the people, those mercenaries themselves are trained killers. They're trained assassins. They're trained just badasses. But now they have a consciousness. They have an idea of like, I am a killer, but I'm still a good person, though, right? But they're questioning themselves. They're questioning, am I really a good person, even though I'm killing the bad guy? Am I the bad guy? I mean, I'm pretty sure they conflict in their hearts all the time, because Mickey Rourke's, scene. I mean, that's exactly what that was. It was questioning, why didn't I do what I needed to do?
And it's funny too, because since this is a more like older cast, and I've seen it with my dad too. The more you grow older, the more you kind of ask those questions, because you're closer to the end, right, than the beginning. So you start reflecting, like, what have I done with my life, and start analyzing things a lot more in that age.
No doubt. That's what I did. That's what I started doing 2 years ago. I started, I've always questioned and analyzed things in my life, but it's pretty much I started interlooking, if you will. I started looking at, have I done enough? Can I do more? What's my purpose now? I mean, so I try to live my life now as in I'm doing what I got to do until, the end comes. I'm going to ride it till the wheels fall off. I'm not looking for death. I'm not chasing death, but I'm trying to enjoy life as much as possible as I can now, because I have come from a, checkered background. Now, you were sheltered. Myself, I wasn't sheltered. I was giving everything in life, like, here, this is what life really is. It wasn't unicorns and rainbows. People are wrong. People are dangerous. Be aware, just understand that this is what human condition. I was raised that way. So I was thankful to have those things, but it also made me a bad person, because I was at one point a bad person. I was a street kid. I was a gang member. I was a thief. I was a criminal. I pretty much did it all. And I ain't trying to give away any dirty secrets, but I have been involved in situations where someone had confronted me with a gun, and all I know is I'm here to this day and he's not. But I don't know anything past that, because I have an issue where I blacked out during the occurrence. But I don't know what happened. All I know is someone lost their life, and I do regret that because of that situation. 2 kids being stupid,
Yeah, and it goes again what we're saying with the movie, right? There's consequences to being in that spectrum of the darkness, right? There's regret. There's like, what happened exactly, and like, this was stupid. This could have been avoided if I just chosen a different way of thinking, right? So
good point.
It follows you until you start really reflecting later in life, like they're doing in a movie, right? So it all relates to the choices you do when you're younger, or your mindset follows you. You can try to change, but it's hard to change after a while when it's really done in your brain. But once you do and you find your path, it's then you feel the most accomplished. I do know a bit about your background. And I don't have the same background per se, but I still have this journey that I was sheltered. I was a Jehovah's Witness for 18 years of my life, right?
Okay.
And very like the dark sheep of it all, but always questioning, but still in it, right? But when I went into what I call the real world, how life is, I've done so many mistakes. I've done so many things that I not regret, but question why I do it.
Right. There you go. Making judgment calls. Yeah, I do that. I played that game myself, And if you it's funny, we go back to the movie itself in real life. And I tell people this, and I believe this myself. Darkness is not a bad thing. Your darkness it can be used in a positive light. Believe it or not, because if you look at the movie, these mercenaries have a darkness. Mm-hmm. But now if they use that darkness in a positive way, when they go take back the island, take over the bad guy, they're using that darkness to help them along the way. It depends on your role in life. Okay, like the Jedis and the Sith, and I hate to get off track, but I go with this all the time. And that the Jedis actually were not the heroes of the story, believe it or not. They actually were the antagonists. And yeah. I wrote a paper on college, and my professor goes, "Holy cow, I never thought about that." And I'm like, because it's a matter of perspective, I have a darkness in me, but I use that darkness in a positive light because I don't want it to be my fuel for fear or for damages or for doing anything wrong. I want to use it as, okay, I understand that there are bad things in this world. Mm. If I turn completely good, I no longer have power over that bad. Mm-hmm. So my darkness is part of my power to combat, whatever comes, if I come against anything bad.
There's a reason why the yin-yang is black and white, right? You need that black. I used
to be a fan of the yin-yang. I used to be a fan of all that. I used to be until go ahead.
But you need that black to counterbalance the whiteness, So, not talking about race, I'm talking about like what's inside.
Yeah, no, I know. It's always the light and dark, good and evil, the up and down. I call it the conjunction of the cosmos because it's always what they call the polar opposite. It's part of the seven hermetic principles. So you always have the either or. If you take away that and or that or, it's the same thing. It's the exact same thing.
I had a good friend of mine once told me that, in a yin-yang, if you take off the black, you're blind because it's all white. And if you take out the white, you're lost because it's just void, right?
Oh, so, I like that. I like that a lot.
It is true.
I like that a lot.
That's why you need both of them because you're not blind, you're not lost.
See, there's that both thing. It's like, I understand having both. So how can we take the yin-yang itself, okay, the white and black, and make it one thing? I mean, that's the thing I've been trying to work on for a while now because I learned this about 20 years ago. 20 years ago, the idea that people want to find balance in their life. Well, and I learned this philosophy that balance is no good. You cannot find balance in your life. What you need, because balance basically means it's a net movement of zero. And without movement, there's no growth. And I'm like, oh, wow. So instead of living on a seesaw or a scale system, it's called a flux. It's like a wave, if you will, like a roller coaster. And that helps you through life a little bit better than trying to find a balance, So, I mean, how can we take the yin-yang and remove all color?
You got it there. I mean, you got it there in your analogy. It's kind of what the yin-yang is. If you look at it, the middle is not the middle part between black and white is not a straight line. It is a wave, right?
Right, there you go. Yeah,
there is a part in the yin-yang that it's higher in white, and then you got another part that's higher in black. So you go up and down like that. You have days that you see the joy, and there's days that you're like,
oh, God. Another good point. Because there's another thing people talk about. The animal inside you. How does it grow, and which part do you feed? Do you feed the anger? Do you feed the strength? Do you feed the love? So it's your intention of what you put into those things. And that's really good stuff.
And it goes back to the characters, right? You can see that yin yang. You can see
you can see like I say, Mickey Rourke was the main one. Jet Li was in there. Dolph Lundgren,
Mm,
Sylvester Stallone, even David Abreza. I mean, Eric Roberts was the only one that didn't have anything going on. He's
mm,
like, I'm a bad guy. I know it. Kill me. I
mm,
dare you. He
mm,
didn't have anything beyond that.
mm. All right.
But everybody else did. Everybody else had those things. And you got the one girl fighting for everybody.
Mm,
Fighting for
yeah.
her father, fighting for her island, fighting for someone that she just met. Without consequence to her own, her own self being. Giving for everybody else. Besides herself. I mean, it's amazing.
She represents idealism, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. There you go. You know.
All right. So who would have thought, right? So listeners, we're pretty much almost at the end of the podcast, but who'd have thought talking about the Expendables, next thing you know, we're talking about Yin-Yang. But you
But
heard it
it's
here.
there though. It's there.
Yeah, it's there. And this is why I love doing this podcast, because I have a chance to talk about people, to really go into things that most people would have never delved deep. But it's definitely fun to do, because it makes you reflect on life in general. The way you see movies deeper level can really start looking deeper into yourself and see a bit life slightly different, you know?
And it's funny we talk about. I mean, I hate to. Off topic, but there is actually one movie out there that I truly enjoy, and it's called "From Paris with Love" with
Mm, Val Kilmer.
John
No, no.
John Travolta. John
That's what-
Travolta.
I always mix something.
And I tell people this: there is no story, there is no plot, there is nothing to look at except for it's just a damn good movie from beginning to end. And it's something you can actually watch and be mind numbing. It's like, oh, that was just cool. There wasn't no. I mean, I felt like there was no connection. There was nothing in there, but damn, that was just a good movie. So I mean, it was just one of the movies you can actually watch and not have to worry about thinking, trying to find a connection. Or Still Magnolias will tug at your heartstrings. Marley and Me will kill you. It killed me. E.T. I mean, those movies. Schindler's List, we talk about that. Those movies, they bring your emotion out. But there's every once in a while they'll put a movie out there and going, wow, that was pretty cool because I didn't have to do anything.
Yeah, no, there are movies like that. It's hard to find ones that are entertaining enough for someone who usually looks for the deeper meaning. So I only
Right, yeah.
like for me, one of them, and even then there's messages in that, but from one of them is Rush Hour. For me, it's just a good old popcorn fun, but there's still some deeper meaning you can look into.
Yes, there is. Yes, because you got combined cultures, you got different ideologies, you got different ways of doing, different techniques, different, because I mean that's the world should work through it in contrast with while trying to work together. Everybody should have their own different ideas, but then together, put them in a soup bowl and see if it tastes good. If it don't, you change the ingredients.
Exactly. So yeah, thank you very much for being on, Rev Frydaddy. It's been really a treat. I love going deep into the stuff, and I definitely needed your unique perspective. I really hope you'll be back on the show very soon, sir.
Oh, yeah. Next time if you want to do a horror movie, I'll let you pick it. Then we can go from there because I've seen a lot of them, and I have, a strong connection to the cinema itself. But horror is definitely my top genre, though.
All right, sounds good. So, where could people find you on the internet, sir?
It's funny because I just recently got my own URL on YouTube, and it's just the Reverend Frydaddy. It's put it on Google anywhere, it pops right up, and I'm on Anchor, on the Paranoia Playhouse, and of course, Facebook is just my regular Facebook. I'm on Instagram, Reverend Frydaddy. Twitter, Tattooed Monk 71. I'm everywhere, but like I said, I have had a thing where I've tried to bring people together for the past 2 years, and I'm still trying to do that. I like reaching out to different people all over the world and just having conversation. I'm like, can we get together? And it's like having a cosmic bonfire, if you will,
Oh yeah,
and I'm so grateful for technology because it's making that happen now.
Yeah, because we found ourselves in a podcast sharing community, and there's something about you. I knew right away that I like you. I like you. There's something really interesting in the way you think, and your no filter realism of life and talking about your own experiences is something that it's hard to find in podcasters because a lot of them go surface level, but the true darker stuff and
My thing is I've never been sheltered in the reality of the world. So I've never been a part of the world. You know, I've
Mm.
been on the outside. I've always been an outcast, either by the way I look or by people judge me, whatever. Because I was a fat kid growing up, so
Mm.
I always was ostracized, picked on, bullied. So I never had a lot of friends. So the friends I did have, I found and cherished them because they had the same issues. They were outcasts also. They were misfits.
Mm.
So I see that a lot in the world. I'm not alone. I know I'm not alone. There's freaks and geeks, nerds and nerdettes, and all the lovely wingnuts out there. And
Mm.
people that didn't want them, come hang out with me. We'll find each other.
Well, I'm definitely one of them, man.
Oh yeah.
One of them. I'm really happy that I met you. And like again, this can be a sort of a beautiful partnership because I have a feeling that you're going to be on often in a lot of our shows. Might as well. I'm going to make an announcement. We at Schmoes of the North are about my personal project. Something I've been thinking about a long time is called The Frenchie Talks About, and the first episode is going to drop soon with me and my girlfriend talking about the better self. But look out for the Frenchie Talks About a lot of different subjects, maybe unexpected subjects with different guests. And I hope you're going to be on there, Rev, because we're going to have a very interesting conversation about deeper things.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Anytime y'all want to hit me up, man, y'all know where I'm at. Hit me on Messenger, and I'll gladly jump in there. I'm all about having conversation with people, even if I find somebody that's contradictory of the way I think or whatever. I'm cool with that too, because I don't want people to agree with me. I want them to hear. I want to hear their opinions. I want to hear their thoughts. Then share my thoughts, and maybe every now and then go, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
You don't have to agree with what I got to say. Just listen to what I got to say and go, oh, wait a minute, maybe,
Yeah, because
That's how I want people to be. I want people to say, damn, I got my own thoughts. Cool, let me hear it. Even if I don't agree with it, I still want to hear it.
yeah, because that's how you grow. That's how you learn. That's how, by one perspective alone creates self-made conclusions. And usually self-made conclusions are faulty, because you only see life one way, but you add different perspectives of life and come up with a conclusion based off not just your experience, but multiple people's experience.
Right. There you go. See, that's what and I don't want to steal anybody's story. I just want to hear it.
Yeah.
I want you to share it with me so I can, we can hang out, just hang out, and have a conversation, then we can, not saying change the world, but, make the world understand each other better.
Yeah, like my purpose, especially with that show, the Frenchie Talks About, is if I can reach a one person, and one person like says, "Oh, I never thought about it like that," is not.
Yeah, see, yeah, exactly.
One person is worth it for me, and even if they don't agree with me, even if they're really, I don't agree with this and this is not how it should be, at least it's starting the conversation. At least it's, it's starting something, which
You're right.
for me, I like, because the more we get out our opinions, the better it is, because we need different perspectives in this life. I feel like a lot of people are sheeps right now. And
yeah, the sheeple. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And
it's not their fault. It is not their fault. It's just they've been sold an idea, of I call it the pretty. They see the pretty, they want to be the pretty, so they buy the pretty products, but on the inside they're ugly as I am.
And yeah, it's you know what? This is gonna be a good conversation to save for the Frenchie watches.
Yeah, that's fine, brother. That's fine.
I gotta cut this podcast. That being said, for those who stuck to the end, thank you very much.
Definitely.
If you haven't done it already, what are you doing? Please subscribe, click that button, press the like button on this video. All right, so Rev, thank you very much for your time. You have a nice day.
Yeah, man. You too. All right. Talk to you later.